All right, so never gone live before on YouTube. So this is a test, but I hope people will come on here. I'm trying to get my framing right on my camera. If we get some people on here, then maybe I can answer some questions and see if I get my fire going again. Looks like I have one person watching. Please comment, leave some questions so I can answer. Got a little bit of a cold today, so we'll see how it goes with that. What I'm working on in the shop, I'm going to do a 18th century rendering of what's called a Harnan stand. It's a Scotch-Irish toaster. You would put oat cakes on this and set it in front of the fire to heat your toast up. So that's my Sunday afternoon project. Hi, Stacy. So right now I have a 3/4 by 3/16 flat bar, and I don't think I'm going to get very far today, but I'm just kind of getting the fire going. Got to keep moving. I'm going to make the frame for the toaster. I have the framing set up for back here, but I can't read the screen on the phone, so when I have to walk up to see how many people are on. It looks like we got 3 people on. Hi, welcome. 4 people. If you have any questions for me, I don't know if you've seen my videos, but if you have any questions, please ask and I'll try to answer them. And let me know if the audio is okay. So for my Harnan stand project, which I have the drawing here, I have to make a circle for the outside, and it's 3/16 by 3/4 flat bar bent on the edge. So what I've done is I've drawn a circle on a board right here that I can use, and I'm just going to freehand this and bend it by eye. We'll see how it goes. Saw some comments pop up. Let me see if I can pull that up here. Wondering if you would do subscriptions for a small monthly fee, teach basics and get into a couple projects. I'd like to add blacksmithing to my repertoire, but more comfortable here versus a local club. You know, that's something that I've thought about. I don't think I have the capacity to do that right now, but it's a good suggestion. Thank you. Robert Toohey, Ardu 2E, I don't know what that means. 1958 David Memes. I bought a coleslaw at the swap meet for $200 in cash. Is that a good deal? I would say so. Any coleslaw Anvil, I mean, for a 157-pound Anvil, $200. I mean, I don't know what the condition is, but that sounds like a steal to me. I'd say you got it for a little or nothing. So let me get back to my hoop here. You can see I have a coleslaw anvil right here. I'm going to try moving the camera closer, because if I can read it, I don't have to walk back and forth. But I want you guys to be able to see as well. So let's try this. I don't think that's going to work either. We'll get it. Okay. Just about overheated my piece there. I'm not in a hurry with this. I'm basically just bending this into a circle, taking my time. As far as blacksmithing classes, you know, I never took any blacksmithing classes. I taught myself. I suppose some people really need that, need the hands-on, and other people can teach themselves. The important thing is just to start doing it, and you make mistakes and you learn by making mistakes. If you don't make mistakes, you're not going to learn. So a lot of people are they have cold feet. You just got to jump in and get started. And I'm not really the best blacksmith, I don't think, but I'm willing. And I have a motto here in the shop: say yes first. And basically I just say, yeah, I'll do that. And then I figure it out. I need to find my safety glasses. Bear with me 1 second. All right. We got some safety glasses. 5 people. One edge is bad, the other is good. Okay. Well, I'd say $200 for a coal swab. Either way is probably a good deal. What kind of coal do I use? This coal comes from West Virginia. It's bituminous coal. A lot of my viewers made fun of how I said bituminous. It's actually bituminous, I believe. Bituminous coal is it's a softer coal, unlike anthracite, which is a lot harder. There's a blacksmith near me named Bar Run Forge. I don't know them, but I will check them out. All right. So if you're just joining, I see one person jumped off, but if you're just joining, this is my first live. I want to get an idea of what people like and testing my sound and my framing of the video. And I'm just working on what I would be working on otherwise, Sunday afternoon project. I started blacksmithing in 2002. And for most of that time, it was just a hobby. I got pretty serious around, I think 2015, I really started getting serious. And I went full-time in 2021. So I'm checking my curve here against my drawing. And when you're doing curves like this, you don't want to overbend it. It's easy to bend it, but once you've overbent it, it's hard to get it to go back. It's interesting trying to work and talk to a camera at the same time. All right, please shout out some questions if you have any. See, I'm trying to get the questions up here. If you have any questions for me about blacksmithing or my shop or about me personally, happy to answer them. That's why I'm on here. Projects like this toaster take a lot of time. I'll probably have 25 hours in the thing. So you're not going to see a whole lot of progress on this video. When you see blacksmithing videos, they're heavily edited. I mean, I'll take an entire day's work and edit it down into 3 minutes. Blacksmithing takes a lot of patience. lot of patience. Don't need to be in a hurry. 9 people. I'd like to get some more people on here. I'd like to get some questions. If anybody has any questions, that's why I'm on here. I want to answer some questions. How many anvils do I have? David Memes asks. Hang on, let me count. I have 2 Fisher anvils, a 350 and a 200 pounder. My first anvil was the 200 pound Fisher. I bought it in 2002 for $500. I have 2 coleslaw anvils, a German pattern and a London pattern. I have a Peter Wright that's 162 pounds that I use for demonstrations. I have a bridge anvil, which is pretty unique. I think that's it. And I have a bunch of stake anvils. If you know what stake anvils are, I have a bunch of those. I only actually use my primary anvil here and the anvil I take to do demonstrations. That's the little Peter Wright. Those are the ones I use primarily. And I have a helper that works with me full-time in the shop during the week, and she uses the other coleslaw, which is over beside the camera. It's lower for her to use because she's not as tall. I'm really enjoying this September weather. It's really nice weather for getting out in the blacksmith shop. All right, I see another question popped up. Let me finish this heat here. Checking my bend. And if you're just hopping on, I'm making a ring that's going to be the frame for a Harnen stand, Harnen, which is a Scottish or Irish hearth toaster for toasting oat cakes. This is a personal project, not a client's project. See, I'm getting that bend in there real nice. Doing this by eye. I'm gonna have to get the tongs here in a minute. All right, let me check the questions. Got a whopping 5 people. Let's see. No big tools like a press. I do. I have a hydraulic press. I have a power hammer. Kurt Hochschild. KT Blacksmithing again. My coal is from Pennsylvania. I use anthracite coal. I mostly make Damascus blades. What kind of flux do you use? I would recommend not using anthracite. If you can find softer coal, they would work better for you. And flux-wise, borax is a good standby. I tried some red oxide flux, red iron oxide. That stuff works really well. I was surprised. Here, I'll show you guys. This is my power hammer. It's a 50 kilogram Samac power hammer. And let me show you over here. I've got a hydraulic press right here. This is a 26 ton. It's kind of packed away. I don't use it very much. It's a homemade 26 ton hydraulic press. And I have a treadle hammer right here. It's an original made by Clay Spencer in 1992. Here's another angle of my power hammer. I could not do without that. Love the power hammer. All right, let's set it back up here. Any more questions? I guess I wasn't expecting a lot of viewers. Oh, I got 7. Hello, welcome. Generally, people don't have the attention span to sit and watch a live video. But I'm glad you guys are on, and I'm happy to answer any questions you got. So this Harnan stand is for a blacksmithing competition at the Frontier Culture Museum in Stanton, Virginia. And this is my little sketch. I'm just making this outside frame piece. Using a bending fork in my hardy hole of the anvil and just carefully bending it, keeping it flat. And then I have a circle here that I drew on my shelf, and I'm checking against that to see that it's the right diameter. If I had a metal pipe or a form that was the correct diameter, I could just bend it around that. That would be a lot easier. This is 9.5 inches outside diameter, so the blacksmithing competition has parameters, and I'm being careful to meet the parameters. I'm a full-time blacksmith during the week, and on the weekends, when I want to have fun, I work on my own projects. That's what this is. See if there's other questions in here. Let's see. It's Sunday. You'll have a lot more on Saturday evening with the premiere. Good idea. Thank you. Well, this is one of those things, Stacy, that I just jumped out and jumped in feet first. So we'll see how this goes, and I'm figuring it out. And then maybe we can do a Saturday premiere. Have you guys seen any of my other videos, or are you just, did this just pop up on your feed? Let me know how the sound is. I'm using a wireless Rode lav mic that's transmitting to my phone. So I'm curious how it's going to sound. Just got to make this bend a little bit tighter. I love talking about sales and business, how to price your work. So if anybody has any questions about that, I'd love to help with that. I used to be in sales, so I feel like that's one of my stronger skills. Wow, this is getting really close to my circle. Really close. Patience pays off when you're making circles like this. Go slow on the first pass, and you won't have to redo it. I would have liked to have had a jig, but I'm only making one, so I'm just being patient, taking my time with it. I believe it sounds good. Thank you, Kurt. Appreciate that. Lots of tools. Yes, I do. I have a lot of tools. Be careful not to burn my piece here. Talking to the camera, it's easy to get distracted. That would be a disaster. I got that almost to welding heat before I noticed. So I had a pretty full shop. That I had acquired for 20 years of hobby smithing. And then when I went full time, I was approached by an older blacksmith and mentor of mine who had been a full-time blacksmith since 1973, 72 or 73. And he asked me if I would want to purchase his shop, his entire shop. And after discussing it with my wife, I decided it was an opportunity I should not let pass by, and I took out a loan and took the plunge, and I bought an entire blacksmith shop, a very nice blacksmith shop, and I combined that blacksmith shop with my own. And so I not only have my tools that I've bought and made and collected, but tools from my friend Noel, who I bought his shop. And that collection was curated from 1972. So yeah, I have a lot of tools. I have not used all of them, but when I need one, usually I have it. Let's see what these questions are. My chat disappears. Like, I'm trying to figure out how to get it to stay on the screen. Let's see. Homemade, forged, or bought? Track 132. This is a antique forge that I restored. I can't remember. It's either a Champion or a Buffalo forge. I want to say it's a Champion forge. I forget the model. And I restored it. I fixed it up. I put fire brick in it. And the hood is a homemade hood that a friend of a friend made, and I purchased from them. I'd like to get a bigger fire pot. This is a cast iron fire pot. It's one like you would buy from Centaur Forge. And I think it's like 9 by 10 inches inside or something, but I do a lot of big stuff, and I think I would like to get a wider fire pot. I know you can get like a 12-inch. I think that would be helpful for me. I do use a gas forge as well, depending on what I'm doing. Just bending this here. Trying not to overbend it. See that? Check it against my drawing. It's getting really close. If you guys have any more questions, that's why I'm here. Feel free to ask. Where are you guys from? I'm here in Virginia. This is the Shenandoah Valley of Virginia. Quite a heritage we have here. This is where the North and the South met during the Civil War. A lot of history here in the Shenandoah Valley, a lot of opportunities for learning about historic trades, which is cool. I actually got my start working in a museum as a teenager. All right, just gonna true this circle up a little bit. Oh, that's really close. See, I heated it and I put heat on it in the wrong spot. That doesn't help. Let's go back in the fire. Making a circle is harder than it looks. I mean, you should try it. You think just bend a circle well. Think about how hard it is to draw a circle with a pencil freehand. It's even harder to make it out of iron, unless you have a form. Okay. Just bending it a little bit at a time. Like that. Check it against my form. Yeah, that's better. can see right here, I got a flat spot, I got to bend that. I actually prefer larger work. I've been taking on larger commissions recently. This year I've done a lot of furniture, I've done grills. I did this cool well cover to cover a 3-foot diameter hand dug well. I have my first big gate project coming up, which I'm excited about. It's going to be a 10-foot opening. I like doing hand railings. This little stuff is fun. I think it's harder to find people to pay for it because you have a lot of time in this little stuff. Not unusual to have a candle stand that would cost $3,000 if you quoted it to somebody, just because of the hours that get into it. All right. Oh boy, I'm really close. Really close. Let's see that. Check it against my drawing. Got to pull the side in a little bit. Down to 3 people. Please ask some questions. I know some of you ask questions, which I appreciate that. If you have any questions for me, I'm Drew Alexander. I'm a professional blacksmith. I work full-time in the blacksmith shop. Been doing this for 21 years. Not full-time that whole time, though. I only went full-time 2 years ago. I'm making a decorative Harnan stand, which is a bread toaster that would sit on a hearth in Scotland or Ireland during the 18th century and early 19th century. And this is the outer frame, making this circle by eye. I have a sketch here that I did, and I'm attempting to forge this to my sketch. It's very tricky, but I'm not in a hurry. Just don't want to burn it or bend it too far in. Please ask me questions, guys. I see 7 people on here. What would you like to know about blacksmithing? Recently, I took a trip to Ohio, to Troy, Ohio, to the Southern Ohio Forge and Anvil Quad State event. There were 1,200 blacksmiths there. It was quite an event. Very exciting. If you haven't been, if you're a blacksmith and you have not been to Quad State in Troy, Ohio, you need to put it on your calendar for next year. It's in September. Best blacksmithing event, hands down, I've ever been to. It's the Mecca of blacksmithing. Every tool you can imagine, they had multiples of to purchase if you had the money. So I'm just bending this around. I'm going to show you this drawing again. So you can see the frame, this is a perfect circle here, but then at the bottom, it's going to be, the frame on edge is going to be bent, and then there'll be a 90-degree angle kicked forward on which a shelf sets. So this is just the single profile, but from the side, it would be bent 90 degrees right there. So I have to bring the circle around, figure out where these points are so I can bend that out. I'm pretty close to that. My circle's just a little bit big. It just needs in a little bit. How many of you guys watch Roy Adams over at Christ-Centered Ironworks on YouTube? He's actually the guy that told me to do some YouTube live. I ran into him in Ohio and I said, hey man, I got a YouTube channel. What do you suggest to get more followers and get my YouTube channel out there? And he said, do some YouTube live. So that's why I'm here. I love showing what I do to the public. Try to educate people about blacksmithing as I see it. Try to answer your questions if you have any. Blacksmithing has a lot of different tangents. There's people interested in knives. There's a lot of interest in colonial ironwork. There's architectural. There's sculpture. You can really specialize in just about anything. In fact, blacksmithing in Europe has been highly specialized for hundreds of years. I think the idea of the village blacksmith that does everything is a very colonial American idea. No one can live long enough to specialize in every type of blacksmithing. I think of myself more as an artist first and blacksmith second. Because if I wasn't doing this, I'd be doing some kind of art. I'm really enjoying getting into the bigger architectural pieces because it gives me an opportunity to paint on a larger canvas, so to speak. Burn my drawing. Don't do that. I just installed a sign, an outdoor sign bracket on Main Street in my town, and I was pretty happy with that because getting out on Main Street means the public can see it, and hopefully more people will decide to hire me to do work for them. This circle looks really good. I just have to be below 10 inches, so let me see where I'm at. I'm at like 9 5/8. 9 5/8. I'm gonna call that good right there. So now what I gotta do is find the intersecting point down here where a 6-inch shelf will sit for the toaster. That's pretty good. Hi everybody. I'm on here to answer questions, so please ask some questions. Kurt Hochschild, do you have problems with clinker? Yes, everybody has clinker. If you use a coal forge, you're gonna have clinker. You can't avoid it. So when coal heats up, the impurities melt. Its silica melts down to the bottom of the forge, and it forms these solid glass-like chunks called clinkers. And if you have a coal forge, you're going to get clinker. So Everybody has it if you use a coal forge. All right, I need to get a ruler here. A soapstone. Figure out where to bend this at. This is going to be an interesting bend. Very interesting bend. I think I'm going to use a center punch on this to indicate where the bend needs to go. Because when it's in the fire, the soapstone mark will leave. All right. So that's what I got. I'm not sure how this bend is going to go. This is a tricky bend, to be honest. Hi, everybody. Welcome to my forge. Let's see. Oh, I got a question on here. Let me turn my fire off. I don't want to burn it. Track 132. I'm looking to get started at forging as a hobby too. I'm 19 years old. Since my childhood, I love forging things in a stove, homemade dirt forge. Trying to build your own forge in a V shape. I've seen those before. Romania. Well, welcome. Are you in the United States now, or are you still in Romania? It says I'm from Romania. I've known one person from Romania. So this bend, I need to make this bend sharp without messing up the rest of the circle. So I'll probably go back to my bending fork and use another bending fork. Let's see how this goes. This is going to be tricky. I'm not comfortable with this bend. Well, I designed this project, so it's my fault if it's difficult. See what's going on there. You see what's going on right here? This is kicking back that way, and I got to do it on both sides evenly. I have a get-together in the shop here last Thursday of every month, And I've been thinking about doing a live stream during that event. It was actually this past Thursday. We had 13 people here interested in blacksmithing, just hanging out. We had a demonstration. All right. So if I remember next month, I will try to live stream that. All right. That's pretty darn close. So now I'm going to bend this other side before I get too far on this first side, because I want to make sure they're even. So track 132, you're building your own forge. I don't know about the V forge personally. I've never used one. I have seen them done. I think Wrangler Star did a video on one years ago. He seemed to like it. I think they have advantages for long pieces, like if you wanted to heat up a long bar. If you're just getting started in blacksmithing, really you can't beat a simple propane forge because they're good for small projects. They're affordable. A lot of people don't think about the cost of a chimney. If you're in a building, putting a chimney up is more expensive than the forge itself. Where with a gas forge, you just need to crack a window and you don't have to worry about a chimney. So if you're outside, that's different. That's how I started, was outside. All right. Let's see about this. Very tricky bend here. Okay. This looks like the Millennial Falcon or something. Look at that. Mark Miller. Hey, Mark. You have an incredible hammer and tong collection. Thank you. Please talk about the Troy, Ohio event again, maybe some contact information. Mark, I hope you're still on. Yeah, just Google it. Southern Ohio Forge and Anvil, SOFA, S-O-F-A, and it's called Quad State. It's in September. It's just passed, so you got a whole year to plan for it now. It's on Facebook. A lot of people post about it, so I doubt they have information about next year yet. I would really doubt it. They said they may have an international smith come in. That's all I know. I'm going to make a little bit of a tighter bend right here. But yeah, if you can get to Troy, Ohio for Quad State, it's really a good event. Mark Asbury was there doing a demo. He's from California. If you don't know Mark's work, he's from the UK. One of the best blacksmiths in the country right now. He's got some books out. He's helped design the Abana National Certification Curriculum. Lynn Ray, the knife maker, was there doing a demo. Clay Spencer was there at 91, 92 years old, talking about power hammers, power hammer tooling. So if you can get to Quad State next year, they have a lot of good demos, tailgating, hanging out, meeting people. It's really a great event. I hope that answers your question, Mark. Albin, hey Albin, thanks for hopping on. Maybe those two bends should have been done first, then make the circle bend. Possibly. This is my first attempt at this, so, but yeah, That's a good suggestion. If I did some math, I could make those bends and then do the circle bend. It's a good idea. I think it's turning out okay though. It's almost eclipsing my drawing, so that's what we want. And Albin and others, if you're just joining me, I'm making a 18th century, early 19th century Harnen stand, Harnen. This is my sketch, if you can see that. And it's a three-legged trivet that you put a piece of oat cake or toast on and set it on a hearth in front of a fire. It's a fun project because it allows you to, there's a lot of joinery techniques here. And you can be creative with your design. But yeah, Albin, great suggestion. I think it would have been easier to do those bends first and then do the circle. I think you're right. Figuring out the math would have added a little complexity to it. Just checking my drawing here. It's just very, very close. Now, I looked at a lot of historic examples of Harnen stands, and I'll tell you, none of them are very well executed. The designs are whimsical, but they're just kind of made very quickly and sloppily. I think they were just trying to make them fast. I probably looked at 20 or 30 examples this morning on the computer and in some books that I have, and they weren't super careful with just the joinery, the scroll work, everything's just, I think a lot of Pennsylvania Dutch work and colonial work, a lot of it is like that. They just take scraps and bits and put it together. I'm being more careful with my proportions and my, hopefully my scrolls will be nice. And I've got all the time in the world to make this. I don't have to have it done until the middle of November. All right, just gonna tighten this bend up here. Get really close, really, really close. Checking against the drawing again. Try not to burn a drawing. All right, that one side is almost perfect. I gotta tighten this bend up, make it like the other side. I mean, we are really close. Patience is really necessary in blacksmithing. Really is. Cannot rush this. Some of these parts will go together faster than others, but this frame is critical that it's perfect. Let me check the comments here. Still in Romania. Hey, that's cool. I bet that's beautiful country, Romania. Geography was my worst subject in school. Okay. Wow, that's just so close. So close. It needs to be pulled in a little bit, but I'm not sure where. Oh, okay. So what I need to do is right here and right here. I need to pull that in a little bit tighter. It's straight right across here on both sides. So I think if I can pull those in, and notice how these are splayed out, they'll come parallel, and that should be the ticket. And if you're just joining us, here's my drawing. This is a 18th century Harnan stand. It's for toasting oat cakes in Scotland. It sits on a hearth. Making this for fun. All right. All right, here we go. All right, that looks better on that side. Much better. I could go a tiny bit more. I like a wide face anvil, especially, doing stuff like this. I can lay that across the face. This is a 6-inch, I think it's a 6-inch wide face. Let me check. 6 1/4. It's easy to make sure it's nice and flat. All right, now for the other side. There's going to be some holes punched for the legs, the feet, and I'll probably punch those next before I kick the front of it out at 90 degrees. I'm not sure how far I'm going to get with this live video and this project, but I'll tell you what, if I have to stop here, I will try to record the rest of it on live as well, and you can catch up with it later. Hi, if you just joined, welcome. Let's see. Forging Ahead, Artist Blacksmith. Similar in part as Kim Yellen's screen. Correct. You got it. That's where I got the idea. Yep, Kim Thomas did a Yellen's fireplace screen with this pattern, and it's exactly where I got the idea. So credit goes to Kim and Yellen. If you want to follow a really good YouTube channel on blacksmithing, check out Kim Thomas at Thomas Ironworks. His work is among the best in the world, certainly the best in this country. Some of the best traditional blacksmithing. And he's been a good friend to me. I'm honored to know him, have his ear. Just tightening this bend up. Golly, that's just so close. Thing is, every time you tighten a bend, another bend has to be adjusted as well. And all I'm trying to do is get this to eclipse my pencil drawing perfectly. And it is just so freaking close. So from this shoulder to this shoulder, this is pretty much eclipses my drawing perfectly. So now I just have to kick these tails out again. And then what I'm going to do is punch holes here and here, and then it'll be bent 90 degrees like that. I didn't think I would have an hour forging this outside. I'm going to add some coal to my fire before I stick this in there. I didn't think I'd have an hour forging this outside ring, but I've got an hour in it. Get this fire going up a little bit. The fellow with the last comment, forging ahead, artisan blacksmith. What's your name? Have we met? I don't know you by your channel name. The only thing I'm not happy with this so far is because I'm taking my time with it, it's developed a lot of scale. Typically you get scale when you take too long to make something. The faster you forge it, the fewer heats you have, the less scale you get. Mark Miller, I've attended seminars with Jim Wallace, Daryl Mayer, and Phil Baldwin many years ago. I feel like I should know those guys. I don't, I'm sorry. What part of the country are they in? I mostly know the guys on the East Coast. Some of their names are familiar. Boy, I really want to finish this frame at least before I stop. If I can get this finished, punch some holes, put my 90-degree bends in, that would be awesome. Getting really close though. All right. One of the reasons I'm taking my time is that if you overbend, it's 3 times harder to bend it back, to take it backwards. You can't rewind as easily. Mark from Camas, Washington, but no, we haven't met. I do follow all of your work. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. I'm really I'm really a nobody. I'm just trying like everybody else, and I'm not a great blacksmith by any means, but I think I just have a willingness to say yes and try things, and I think that's really important. You can get really far with confidence and a willingness to tackle difficult projects, even if you don't know how to do it. You just say yeah, and then you do it, and you figure it out, and that's what I do. But I appreciate you following my work. It means a lot. Okay, we're getting really close. I think it's almost to the point where I could cold adjust it. One of the hard things is that my drawing is on paper. Boy, if you guys could see how close this is, I'm gonna try to show you. Okay, there's that. And can you see that? I mean, it's like, it's right there. It's right there. And so I gotta punch a hole here on both sides and then bend those forward 90 degrees. Just so close. It does take a little bit more time due to the fact that I'm on camera. It does affect it. But either way, this is a tedious piece. All right. I'm tempted to quench this so I can lay it on my drawing, but I know better. Then when I go to punch my holes, it won't want to punch as easily. All right, please ask me some questions, guys, if you have any questions. Okay, here we go. Albin. Thanks for the support, Albin. I appreciate it. Figuring out the best order of operations for a project is one of the hardest things to learn. Yes, I agree. I agree. And sometimes, even if you think it's the right order, it's not always the right order. Phil Baldwin is Shining Wave of Damascus. Jim Wallace is the curator of the Ornamental Iron Museum in Knoxville. I've been wanting to go there. That's where I've heard that name. Daryl makes Unbelievable Damascus. I don't follow a lot of the Damascus guys. I really appreciate and love knife making, and I do a little bit, but I don't follow a lot of those guys. I agree. I build upon my own skills by replicating other items I've seen, but I try to find other ways to forge. Yeah, modeling clay works well. Modeling clay works well. I have some here in the shop. I use it for public demonstrations a lot. All right. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to quench it. It's almost cool. Yeah, we're good. Okay, quenched. Dry this off and put it on my drawing. And then I'm going to lay out where my holes need to be punched. The other flip side of that, Albin, is you can spend all day figuring out how to go about something or talk about it and not actually do anything. And sometimes, at least for me, it's better just to jump in and do it. But I do always try to start with a drawing and work to a drawing. And all right, wait till you guys see this. Here we go. Look at that. I mean, it's just, it overlays it perfectly. See that? Okay. I'm super happy with this. Sorry, my voice is a bit nasally. I've got a cold. It's really been going around. All right, now, gotta see where to bend it. Since this is a colonial ironwork, I don't think it has to be perfect, but it definitely needs to be within a tolerance that I can sleep with. So we need to mark where my bend is supposed to go. You know what? The center punches that I put in there before for my edge bend are right in line with where my 90-degree bend should go, like perfectly. So I'm going to use those center punches. How about that? So these white marks here, this is going to get kicked at 90 degrees that way. I'll go ahead and punch my holes down here. So I need to decide what size hole. I think a 1/4 inch hole is what I want. And I'm going to use a center punch to indicate where that will go. Sorry, I know this is rather boring to watch. I'm actually not quite certain where this needs to go. I need to think through this. I want my lip, see, there's a shelf there that the toast sits on. This is 3/4. It doesn't have to be much of a lip. It just has to keep the toast from sliding off. And this is going to be at an angle. So I think if I do a 3/4 shelf, it'll keep everything in proportion. I think that would be plenty. And I need to come out, I mean, 3/8 of an inch would make sense, but I want to make sure this is right. I'm going to go out 1/2 inch and assume that I'll have a little bit of a gap behind the shelf. Okay. I'm about to punch. Okay. I have a feeling, but by the time I'm done punching, all my viewers are going to be gone. I need another ruler. I'm laying one ruler across to give me a straight edge to work from. Now, second ruler comes in. Yeah, my first punch was in the wrong spot. Okay. Got it. I'm going to make these punches a little deeper. All right. Now we still got everybody on there. Anybody have any questions? I'd love to talk about any questions you have. Perfect fit. Thank you, Mark. It's Mark, right? Let me check. Yep. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate that. I'm using a wireless mic. It's the, if any of you do YouTube and are interested, I'll show you. The Rode Wireless Go 2. I can't imagine another microphone being any easier. It's so easy to use. That's the receiver. And then I have a lav mic here that goes, I have it clipped on my belt loop, and I can work freely without it coming off. So let me know how the sound is. All right, I need to get my punch. So I'm gonna get a 1/4-inch punch, turn the camera, you can see my other corner of the shop over here. I gotta find my punch. I don't think I need a slot punch for that size. I think I can just do a nice little round punch. Should be fine. I have too many punches, it's hard to find the right one. All right, got my nice little round 1/4-inch punch. And I'm gonna come over here and use the grinder to clean this thing up. I've only got 2 holes to punch. Can't be that bad. All right, I've got a little pair of tongs here. They won't work. I like to grab my punch with tongs so I don't burn my hands. There we go. And I have a tuna can with coal dust in it. There's a cat food can, actually. Now, I probably don't need the coal dust for this little, I'm only punching a 1/4-inch hole through 3/16, but with a bigger hole, it's definitely helpful. I have a little water can over here. Get that. Fill it with water. This is a metal can on a stand, and I put water in it, and it sits close to my anvil. So when I'm doing punch work or something, if I need to quench or cool off my tool, I can. You guys can't really see how close I am, but I'll just say things are going perfectly. I did not even use a bolster because you punch from both sides and that little biscuit will pop right out. I just popped it out over the Pritchell hole. Uh-oh. Dropped it. Hang on. See there? On to the other side. Let's check the chat. Track 132. Well, Alexander, I will go. It's 11:13 here, or 21. 21, that's not 11. What is that? 9, 10, 9 o'clock. Tomorrow I'm busy. Goodbye. Goodbye, Mr. Romania. Whoo! Nearly burned it. Nearly burned it. Let me get some of that. Did you guys see the sparks? I burned the tip of it, but thankfully that's going to be cut off. Thank goodness. That would not have made me happy. Perfect. All right. We got it. All right, you can see 2 holes right there. And hopefully all that fussing about and dropping this on the floor did not deform it too much. Check it against my drawing real quick. Yeah, we're good. Good to go. All right. So now what I'm going to do is make my 90-degree bend right here. A little, you see a little mark. It's going to kick forward. Or perhaps I should cut these off first. What do you think? Think about that. It's going to be easier to cut them off before I bend it. This is the first time I've made this, so I'm kind of working through it as I go. Yeah, I'm going to cut it off. So I need to get a mark where that cut will be made. I have a little grease pencil here. I can get a nice clean mark. And then I'll center punch it on both sides so I can cut a straight line. side. Other side. Okay. So you can see, I cut it off right there. How do I want to cut it? Do I want to hot cut it? I think I'll hot cut it. A little clinker here in the fire. Get that out. That's what you get for an hour of forging. And I think I'm going to hot cut it with a chisel so that I can, instead of a hardy cut, I'm going to use a chisel, I think. That way I can angle it to as close to 90 degrees as I can get it. And I have a chisel right here. This is what I use in the power hammer sometimes. I think that'll work. And I need a cutting plate. This is an aluminum plate. Now my grease pencil will burn up in the fire, so I'm going to use a center punch and mark both sides of the line, and I'll cut from center punch to center punch. I decided to hot cut it because this project is supposed to be a historic replica, or not replica, but representation of a conglomerate of examples of Harnan stands, historic Harnan stands, or toasters. And by hot cutting it, I feel like I'm using a similar process to the smith that would have made one of these originally. I could go over to the bandsaw and just nip it off real quick and it would be perfectly square, but then you got to deal with hiding the saw blade marks. All right. I'm actually going to use the treadle hammer for this. It'll be perfect. Perfect. And then I can show you guys the treadle hammer. All right, I'm going to move you guys so you can see the treadle hammer. See here. Hopefully my tripod doesn't fall. Okay, just bear with me. That was easy. Let's heat up the other side. Bear with me. All right. A little scrap. This treadle hammer was made by Clay Spencer. I'll show you how I know. You probably can't see it, but right here it says CS 1993. All right, I gotta set you back down or I'm gonna burn my piece. I'll be there in a jiffy. Handling a camera and a hot piece of metal and managing a fire and listening to see if my 4 kids who are playing outside need me. There's a lot to manage. All right, here we go. And for my mark. Beautiful. See the power in that? 2 hits. All right. Let's take you back. Okay. I think I'm gonna try to, I've got that cut rag on the end. I'm gonna hammer that, blunt that just a little bit with a hammer, being careful not to deform my overall shape. And then I can hit it with a file later. Now I actually have a piece on here across the bottom that's supposed to be forge welded on flat. So that's going to be interesting because with the forge weld I could get some spread here. Okay. All I'm going to do is just tap that. Looks silly doing it in the air, but honestly that's the best way to do this. Okay. Hang tight, I'm going to grab my file. All right, need to find a coarser file yet. Here we go. Okay, to the vise. Here. Boy, that's loud. When it squeaks, if you drop it down lower in the vise, it doesn't squeak as bad. There we go. Much better. Leave this file here for later. Okay. Ready to put that 90-degree bend on there. Or am I? Let me think about this. Here's my drawing. These vertical grill pieces, if you were, are going to attach to a crossbar here that's the same dimension as this frame, and I have it imagined it to be forge welded in. So I may want to forge weld that on while everything's flat before I bend my ears out, because otherwise those ears could get in the way in the fire. So I think that's probably what I'm going to do. All right, if that's the case, this thing really does look like a horseshoe, doesn't it? Dropping everything. If that's the case, I need to measure and get another piece of flat bar. Basically, let's flip this over. It needs to be a piece that's about 6.5. Well, no, not 6.5. 5 3/4 max. 5 3/4 max to the end of my scarf. Now I know what's going to happen is it's going to mess up my, I have this to the drawing and it's going to spread open when I do my forge weld. So I need to make sure that I forge weld it lightly so that it doesn't just mash that all up. This is interesting. All right, I'm gonna go cut a piece of bar 5 3/4. I'll move the camera so you can see where I'm at. Let's see. Hold tight. With me. There we go. All right. Be right back. Need a measuring tape. Really get the behind the scenes in here. This is the lean-to on the outside of my garage, and I just use it for cutting stock, storing metal stock. All right, I'm gonna scarf the end of this bar So I probably am going to cut it at 5 1/4. I'm guessing it's going to spread about 1/4 inch minimum on each end. Well, my scarf's going to be pretty abrupt, so maybe a little bit longer. Let's try that. I've had this saw since I was a teenager. It's just a cheap jet bandsaw made in Taiwan. All right. There we go. Let's go back where we were. See, I've lost most of my viewers. That's okay. There we go. Just gonna get my phone back up here. All right, so I have this little bar, and it's going to be scarfed forge welded across there. That's the plan, and I'm sticking to it. Really nervous about this, so I might end up taking a break and doing this later. We'll see. Get some clinker out of the fire here. Can at least get this scarfed. And at least do that. Tongs that actually work. Seems like I have too many tongs and none of them are perfect. If you're just joining me, I'm making a 18th century Harnan stand, which is a toaster you would set on a hearth to toast oat cakes. Very specifically, oat cakes. That's what the history book says. I'm looking to get a very abrupt little scarf on the end of this. Forge welding this on is going to be really interesting. Really interesting. I think I'm going to have to stop and clean out my fire. I found that the easiest way to mess up a forge weld is having a dirty fire. You're more likely to get a poor blast of air and develop scale, and you also have more debris which can cause inclusions in your weld. That second scarf looks a heck of a lot better than the first one. Tidy up the first scarf a little bit. Does anybody have any questions for me? See if any's come in that I missed. Hey, Kim. Thanks for joining. Is there a reason why you filed with the metal cold, not hot? No reason. No reason. You can do both. That file I was using is not my hot rasp, so that's part of it. Kim, if you're still on here, we were talking about you earlier. So, I think I'm going to be hopping off here. My battery's dying on my phone, but just to remind you guys what I'm making. I was inspired with this design by Kim Thomas, who I believe was inspired by Samuel Yellen's work. This is a Harnan stand, and it's 18th century toaster to sit on the hearth. So I'm going to take a break, charge my phone, clean my fire out, and I promise I will record the rest of this for you guys and you can catch up later. Try to think of some questions for me. Talk to you later. Bye.